All right, welcome to Surviving the Abyss. This is going to be my demonstration of early base to Immortal clones. I'm going to move through this as quickly as possible in the interest of brevity. So we start with resource gathering, unlock some tech for farming, food, and research. At this point, we're just going to get the basic buildings up and get some research going. My strategy at this point is to build slow and concentrate on accumulating the research points so I can get acquire as much tech as possible for later building. Alright, oxygen's in, food's in, and we'll add some power. My layout's not the best. I had no idea what I was doing when I started building this. However, it will work, so we'll stick with it. You can come up with a better design, though, without a doubt. Alright, the events are starting to generate. Again, strategy for me is a slow build. I try to build as little as possible until the clones. Resources are at a premium. It's not hard to chew through them and use them all up. So, build only what you need. Alright. We'll scan the area shortly. See what we've got. We'll still wait for the buildings here to finish. It's an interesting game. I've enjoyed it. It's something of a puzzle that the pieces just don't quite fit. So it requires a lot of management to get everything balanced and running. But then that is the nature of the surviving series games. And that adds a little bit more research points. And that's an important event, fuel stability. Completing it will bring down an engineer, which will go into your coal generating plant and provide you more power. So it's pretty important. We'll add living quarters for the engineer, have it ready. To get to the 80 coal, I just use all 3 mining subs to mine the coal. That stockpiles it quickly and you'll trigger the completion. But before I do that, I want to get my steel up to 15 so I can build another research lab. Have it ready to go. So now I'll move the subs over to coal. So I'm going to start the scanning. This is where you find out what's about. Scanning is pretty straightforward, time consuming, so I'm going to skip through most of it. Just do a couple to demonstrate how it works. There, second research lab. Turn it off. I don't want to be using it. I don't have the power right now. And we'll finish the scanning. Good time to do it is now. Mostly you're just waiting for the coal to stockpile and trigger the event. Here the scanning is complete. You can see the resources you have surrounding the base and start coming up with a plan of attack. This map is pretty easy. That's why I stuck with it for the demonstration. Pretty much everything is within reach. And hopefully that'll allow for a quicker video. Now, the hospital kind of goes against the whole tech rush strategy. However, I found there's a number of events, particularly one that will require a hospital. If you don't have the hospital, the results are pretty bad. I'm talking about, what is it, the research lab sabotage event. If you don't have a well, I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure if you don't have a hospital built, you don't get any options in that event, and you have to cut the oxygen off to the lab and kill the crew that are inside. This is a setback for Hurricane. You want to avoid that. If I have the hospital in place, you do get a second option. You lose 50 research points, but otherwise nothing else happens, which is a much better result. Don't know if I'll get it or not, but I want the hospital just in case. Okay. We have our engineer, power's jumped up. We have a chance to get a scientist with the event technology expansion. We'll move some of the mining subs back to steel, concrete. And we wait for the research points to accumulate. Not much going on at this point. We'll add the hospital. Don't really build a whole lot. Again, I'm just waiting for the research tech to, or the research points to accumulate. Get that second one on. Generally don't need the hospital running. It's nice to have, but I don't think it's mandatory for anything at this point. And we'll add sub-factory. I'd like to add this fairly early because I want to get the, I think it's the exploration submarine. It's important. You're going to use it to explore everything around you and find the resources that you're looking for. Okay. We skip through that phase. We've got our scientists now, and we're up to 40 research a day. And we're just going to run with that for now. You could add another data module to it. It'll add another 5 research points, 40, 45. Not sure there's a huge difference. And I chose to keep the resources, so it's your call. I don't think it matters one way or the other. I'm gonna get a sub up and running, get that done and out of the way. Won't need it for a while, but I'd like to have it built. And again, we just waiting for research to accumulate. Power's already maxed. Gonna have to look to add to that. Now, something that you'll need to do as you proceed forward is, as you get larger with more infrastructure, you can't run all the buildings simultaneously. You just don't have the crew or the power to do it. So you end up running what you need while you turn off parts of the system that you don't need. I'm gonna add some coal efficiency. I think it might be important, but I'm not certain. I usually give all the food here. The coal extraction point near the base is infinite, which catches me by surprise. It shows a number on it, but it doesn't tick down, so it may not be a long-term situation. Not sure. This is early access, so anything could happen. But for now, I'll just go with the premise that coal is limited, and we'll add the efficiency text. Reduce the consumption. Now, there's quite a bit of waiting in between these texts. I've just skipped through it, as there's nothing really happening otherwise. For the most part, these are the buildings I'm going to be using, so I'm getting them researched and ready to go. And let the research accumulate. Resources are up pretty good right now. As far as the tech goes, I'm not entirely sure what the ideal approach would be. I've just basically tried to research as much as possible. Outposts would be important. They are a key component when you want to expand. Research, research, research. Alright, we're starting to deplete the small deposits around the base. And we'll keep moving the mining subs around to pick up what we need as we need it. You could build more storage. Again, I'm going with a very minimal build, so I've left it for now. Docks are important. Do some mining workshop coming up. So again, let the research points churn, keep the coal consumption down, and research the tech. Very much a slow build. Alright, so next up is I'm going to go with some protein labs. I've had a hard time with low quality food and fighting malnutrition, so I've decided just to go straight to the high quality food. That seems to solve a lot of problems. Is it efficient? Most likely not, but it's simple. The two most important resources in the beginning are coal and food. There's two reasons, basically. Both coal and food are used on a daily basis, unlike the other resources, which are just used when you build. So they need a constant supply, and the exploration sub also requires stocks of food and coal, significant amounts actually, to run the exploration. So these are the first two resources you want to concentrate on, and we'll be setting them up shortly. The habitat layout for this map was a little odd, so I'm actually going to build an outpost to start up my protein labs. Normally they would be much closer to the main base, but each map is different, and it essentially channels you in different directions as how to expand. Once I have food and coal up and running, then I'll be able to run the exploration subs, which again are very important as they're the ones that spot all the resources and put them on the map. So we go to the submap, we pick the genome, or not the genome, the habitat we want, outfit the sub, and off it goes. I've played this map before, so I do know where some good locations are. Mostly I'm just interested in demonstrating the buildings that are required to do this, to get to Immortal clones, so this quickens it up. And again, I'm trying to make these videos as short as possible. This is a location I found previous. It's a really good one. 2 habitats and a quartz deposit. Another important aspect to these outposts is, though they have an expensive construction cost, once they're up and running, they provide 4 power and 4 oxygen with no crew, and the light. There's also the light. So it is basically free energy and light once they're built. We'll get that going. The cycle continues. Turn buildings off to turn other ones on. You get the upgrade adds a little bit more food, and it'll put my 2 farms into surplus mode. So I'm creating more food than I use. I need that. And we're going to continue to rely on the small deposits around the base to generate the resources. Very limited on power and crew. So if I don't have to use them, it helps. Okay. I'm going to start building out this area. We need some docks so we can move people to this space. Of course, you need a dock at the main base. The game handles all the transportation itself. You don't have to designate who or where these people need to be sent. They just show up, so that's pretty straightforward. Still accumulating tech. I guess we'll start looking at adding the farms. Protein harvesters. They produce high quality food. Once they're up and running, that will prevent a lot of the unrest amongst the crew over the low quality food. Again, I'm not sure that this is efficient, but it's simple. Reason I struggle or have a hard time deciding where to put power lines. Don't think it really matters, but I certainly don't have any sort of a plan. Then we'll get the second harvester up. That should work. Food isn't running quite yet. Now there's the event. You'll want a hospital for that, as far as I can tell. Otherwise, you're killing crew members and setting yourself back. Resources are decent, have enough to move forward. I'm not sure which is which, but different extraction points require different types of mining gear. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but we'll see as we go along. So I'm just going to research all of them, have them on hand. So before I can turn the food systems on, I need more people. Oh, let's expand first. Gonna get the coal up. Now I've placed the mining beacons along the edge to help me as a guide to help me determine the lighting overlap. I have a hard time without it. This makes it just a little bit easier. I think this is good. So I use them, as I said, as a guide. They don't cost any resources to build, so I put them to use here. This is another strong area I'm going to light up. It has the coal extraction, a couple deposits, and it's right beside another pair of extraction points. So this gets me close to access to all the basic resources. Wait for that to build, see how it turns out. Lights are expensive. That's another reason outposts can help. They require 5 power to run, and early on that's a lot. Alright, there we go. Another good location. 2 habitats. Common, uncommon. Those are good. And the coal extraction point. Just checking that these are buildable, that I have them within the light. Yeah, we're good. Now there's an elevation change, so I'm going to need an elevator to access the lower portion of the build. I don't really think it matters too much where these go, but I'm usually indecisive. Which is the best direction. I'll go with that. Get it hooked up. So we have our protein harvesters in place, ready to produce food. We have our coal extraction in place, ready to produce coal. Where do I want to put this? I have no idea. bear with me as everything grinds to a halt because I can't determine where to put a power line. Jeez. I don't think it really matters. I don't think the power lines impede anything, so you can build over them, around them, or whatever. That obviously could change. This is early access, but for now it doesn't really matter, which seems to make it more difficult for me to decide. Whatever. Just do it. Okay. So that's what I would call the first phase. Basics are up and running. Tech is researching. We have food production in place, and we have coal production in place. Those are the two most important to start with. So now we want to bring the next batch of crew down, 6 additional workers. To do that, we're going to trigger the food stability event. And we'll do that by turning on the living quarters. Okay, that didn't quite work. This event gets bugged for me. For some reason, it doesn't recognize the 75 food stockpiled earlier. So I'm pretty sure I just have to get the food back up to 75 to trigger it again. A little bit of a delay. We'll just turn some of the other parts of the base off, get the food going. It won't be long until it hits 75. I think that should do it. Yeah, okay. So we're about to hit 75 food. That should trigger the event and get us 6 more crew. There we go. And as far as I know, that's it for crew. I haven't seen any more than this in my playthroughs. So until you start adding clones, you've reached the limit of your population. So going forward, you have to be able to run everything off at 20 people. Which turns out to mean that you're going to be turning parts of the base on and off, because you can only run a small portion at once. Yeah, we're looking good here. This is probably a good point to save it. Resources are decent. I've got enough to build. Research is going. Alright. First phase. Yeah, looks good. Alright. So this is the first phase. I'm gonna save it here and start up a new video.